Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Today is the day that Mercury rules, but today is also what our collective cultural collective cultural agreements call what they call Black History Month. It's been really fascinating as we are moving through deep transformations in our country and in our world and in ourselves. Thank you. It's good to see you too. And I wanted to just come in today and talk about how do we actually free ourselves? What is freedom really? I'm doing this work constantly myself. Like I'm in a constant internal conversation around where I am in this reality. Like I'm on Earth. I'm in this country they call America. I'm in this is a system. This right here is a system. I'm a human, right? It's a human system in a Black person's body, who also is a woman. And then I go to look at all of the conditionings around that. Like I've been taught to think a certain way and be a certain Christianity attempted to teach me to worship a Jesus Christ outside of myself, an energy that would save me and have me feel helpless, right? As a Black person, as a woman. I'm in a country that has created all sorts of false narratives to have me give my power away, to have me not think I'm worthy or enough. Systems of education and government and health that would have me not understand the true nature of who I am. So that's the conditioning of the country, the conditioning of religions that would have me think that the concept of God is exclusively masculine and white. And so I'm very aware of all of the things that come against me that would have me feel like I'm powerless. The food, the education, all of it will have me think that I'm powerless, and then it will create prison because, if I believe the things that we're told regularly, then ultimately inside of myself, I have no power. And it is a very fascinating understanding. It's why I really started studying cosmology, because I couldn't make sense of anything. I couldn't make sense of how come I felt like I literally feel power in my body. I literally feel power in the essence of who I am. I can feel it all of the time. Breathing, thinking. I can think things into existence. Happens all the time. But then there are all these narratives that say, if you're Black, you're a criminal. You're all of these sort of things. And Black people being murdered by cops, all this sort of stuff, right? And so in the center of that, I go into it and I ask myself, what is real? What is real? What is real? What is real, right? And so in that question, what reveals to me is that I live in a culture, I live in America, where everything is a lie. Absolutely everything that I have been taught to believe is false. There is not one thing in my life that is a system or a structure or a cultural experience that is true. Everything, and I've studied history. I studied history at Howard University and at the Library of Congress. It's all made up stories. None of it is true. And in my digestion of believing the lies, what are the lies? The lies are white supremacy. The lies are our health practices and the food system. The lies are the dates, the calendar is a lie. The lies are that Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. The lies are that men have more power than women. The lies are countless and endless. And I have swallowed them. As a child, I swallowed them because the adults that were teaching it to me were also lied to. So we have all been embodying the lies of a culture that is vampiric and predatory at its very core. And so, then who becomes responsible for correcting that? Because if I continue to live into the lies, the levels of depression and anxiety and fear and separation begin to attack my system. This stuff attacks our nervous system, and it attacks because you're living in lies. And so you have to begin to reconstruct your reality. And the way that I did it was by moving into nature, accessing the natural cycles, because nature is not capable of lying. Nature cannot lie. Nature cannot divert itself from the way it functions in any way ever. And nature is the only way to come back to ourselves, by understanding how the natural order is created, lived out, right? And so in this conversation of what they call Black history, the thing that's important that I have discovered and learned, and we all have to learn on our own. We all have to do our own research. Black people are melanated beings. And what does that mean? It means that we absorb the sun. We absorb the light. We are electrical. We are running electrical currents of power through us constantly that generate. Electricity generates everything, you guys. Like, light. Electricity is the energy of light and power moving, and it's moving through us. It's moving through our systems, right? And there was a time on this planet when we have become so filled with power that we, as Black people, made a choice to put ourselves to sleep, to take ourselves to the end of the line, because our energy system was generating so much power that our solar system, our Earth system, was moving too rapidly because of our extreme connection to power. So because we are divine, we are gods. We are the God that we have been praying to us. We are it. And that's the hard part to get. We've been taught that we're not the gods so that we won't pursue the power, so that we'll think the power is outside of us. But we put ourselves at the end of the line to slow down the process of evolution on the planet. Not just for us, but because we are a part of a whole system. We are connected to the totality of all of this. We are the ancestors born over and over and over again. And as we move through many, many lifetimes, our power increases every time. So we cut our own cords so that we would begin to have these life cycles where we didn't remember the previous life before. And that is what the Dark Ages has been about. It's been the memory has been cut off. But now we are moving back into the season of light. We're moving back into the golden age. And as we move back into the golden age, we have to turn our energy back on. We have to do it ourselves. They're not going to do it. They won't do it. They can't do it. They're not capable of it. And the more of us that in our own consciousness that can begin to reconnect ourselves to the true DNA codes that are within us. They call it junk DNA. It's not junk DNA. They don't understand it because they don't have it. Okay? But it's important for us to understand that we cut ourselves off for a purpose, because we understood that these bodies are temporal. So it almost doesn't really matter that they shoot us down in the street, that they have taken us from one side of the world to the next, that they have murdered. It doesn't matter, because we literally just are born again almost immediately in a new body, almost immediately. And so the more we begin to understand this cycle that we're in, and remember, the thing is to remember, the children that are being born now are remembering faster. They're not going to go through the stuff that we've been through in the last 300 years, because their memories are restored. And when their memories are restored, their DNA is connected. And so their gifts, their ability to do telekinesis and telepathy and create realities is going to be active within them. So it's those of us who are older that need to do the work to begin to turn our channels back on, to remember that we are God. We are the gods. We are the ones who have walked. We are it. We are it. We turned our energy off so that we could delay the evolutionary process until now. Because just imagine if a coal gets hotter and hotter and hotter in the power, then it impacts everything in its environment, and everything like heat, fire makes things go fast. So we had to slow down the process. We had to slow down the evolutionary process to meet now. So we delayed ourselves. It's almost like we gave white people a 500 year, we gave them a 500 year head start. We gave them a 500 year head start because we needed them to give us this pushback so that we wouldn't be able to use our energies and powers in the ways that they work, because then we would not be here now. We would not be here now. We would we would have burned out. The energy would have burned out. It would have burned too quickly. So we slowed ourselves down, and we used the system of oppression and racism. It's just the Dark Ages is all that it is. But nothing is a mistake. Nothing is out of order. This is divinely ordered. And we are the divine that ordered it. Now, the thing that's so fascinating about this is that not many people can really catch the wisdom in this way, because you have to be doing the work to understand it, to hear it. And you almost have to be connected to the divine feminine, because people don't understand that the feminine is different than the masculine. It has a different wisdom code. And we need women to begin to wake up. We need women to begin to understand who they are, their creative power. And what does that mean? Like, to me, it's basic. Women are the portals for every human being on this planet to come into reality. Women are the portal between the unseen and the seen. We are it. And if we don't know that, then we are not connected to our creations, which is all of humanity, in the way that we need to be. So because we're disconnected from the understanding of the creative process and how we are the source of life, because we're not really understanding that in the way that we are meant to, we see, like the mother is the creator of everything, right? So Trump had a mother. The people on the planet right now are the extension of their mothers. So the harm that people are doing on the planet is because they are reflecting what's going on inside of the feminine. They're reflecting the feminine being disconnected from her own power, from her own choice, from her own authority. This external world is a reflection of as above, the feminine is above, the feminine is as above, so below. So because our world is completely chaotic and disconnected, what's going on above? It's the reflection of the feminine, the divine feminine that is disconnected from herself. So all we need to do is become connected to ourselves. Trust ourselves, love ourselves, practice. You must do your spiritual practice. That's why I have the moon work, because every day I am in community with the people in the community doing the rituals to connect ourselves to our subconscious power, to our psychic abilities, to our feelings, to our body, to our connection to the planets, so that we can align and understand that we are the creators of all of this. It's a big idea. It's a really big idea when you think of it, but it's not. It's really simple because we have adopted this idea of separation, but we are not separate. We are all connected through this invisible electromagnetic field that's right here, right now. You're breathing it. You're taking it into your mouth. It's through your ears. It's in your fibers. The electromagnetic field is the source energy, is the consciousness of all, and it is within you. And when you become aware of yourself and your connection to it, and that it is imbued in you and you can never be separate from it, when you become aware of it and make a relationship with it in your consciousness, in your awareness, you have to become conscious of this invisible thing that is activating through you like fish in water. You have to become conscious of it. You cannot see it, but you can feel it. And that is the energy of our melanin. The difference between black people and white people is the melanin. They can't feel in the way that we can feel. We feel everything. We feel everything, which is why they can kill people and do all sorts of stuff without any sort of remorse, because they don't feel in the way that we feel. And if we aren't willing to, we're so cut off from our feelings. We're cut off from our feelings. Why? Because it has been intense to feel this energy. It's painful to feel it, but you must begin to create safe spaces for you to feel, because you cannot access your power without feeling. If you can't feel the bad, then you can't harness the good. That's how it works. They go hand in hand. So we must begin to do the work to transmute these outdated patterns that we have been running us. We have to do the work. You have to feel it. You have to alchemize it. You cannot just intellectualize it. It's not an intellectual thing. It's not a thing of the ego. We feel everything. I feel everything. I feel so much that I literally, sometimes I just don't even understand, which is why I'm like, oh, this is why I was cut off from my feelings, because I feel so much. I can feel what people aren't saying, what people are. That's why when people come and get readings with me, I can tap into, because I can feel so deeply. But that's the nature of melanin. That I'm not special. Everybody doesn't feel the same, but we all have it, because the melanin and the frequency of the sun running through your system is charging your body so you can feel. So we have to do the work to feel the hard stuff. We have to feel, because our ancestors went through so much trauma, especially our mothers, our grandmothers, our great-grandmothers. Constant 250 years of rape and brutalization and subjugation and murder, like 250 years of that. And then the Ku Klux Klan and the black codes, all that. So all of our feelings are, we were so sensitive that it was too much to feel it. It was too much to feel it. So we get to come together and create safe spaces so we can wail and cry and release the trauma out of the body. It has to be released out of the body. We must release it out of our systems, because as we release that old, icky stuff of resistance and oppression and the terror that we have been through, as we release it, we make space and we alchemize it, and then it's transmuted into power. It transmutes. Energy can't die. It just changes. So you have to change it through your own mind and your own body. You must change it through your own mind and your own body by listening to the narratives that you tell yourself, by feeling it, and then giving it a new narrative, a new story. The divine feminine is yin, exactly. Receptive, feeling, sensing the feminine. That's right. You have to feel it. That advice would give for skin issues. That's right. It's like you'll heal. You will, if you begin to feel and go into your body and question and feel. And let me tell you, it's scary. It's scary. I woke up this morning just really giving myself permission to feel, and the tears just streamed down my face. And I just let the tears flow because it hurts to feel it. But I just breathed into it and loved myself. I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. Because the deeper I can go into the discomfort is the highest I can go into the pleasure. So when we're resisting the pain, we're also resisting the pleasure, and they are one and the same. They ride the same frequency. So if we are going to claim our power back, if we're going to access freedom, we must do it through ourselves. And the way that I have discovered that you can do it easily is by following the cycles of the moon. Because each month you get to follow where the sun is and do the work of your ancestors from that perspective. For 30 days, you get to uncover and reveal and transmute, and uncover and reveal and transmute, and the rituals and the practices. And at the end of that 30 days, you are a new being. You have transmuted and alchemized the energy of where your ancestral karmic patterns have been stuck for that month. And then you go to the next month. And if you follow the cycles, you will heal naturally and organically and in ways that rise joy, and the universe doesn't have to come snatch your soul when you just show up and do the work. The universe doesn't have to beat you down and force you into, if you show up gently with compassion for yourself and do the work will be done in you in ways that feels magical and beautiful. I'm not saying it's not hard, because it's hard. It is hard. But my needs are always met. I'm never without what I need. I'm always connected to source. And even when it's hard, I can feel the light. I can feel the light always coming for me. And so as we move through this month, I'm not sure how many times I'm going to be here. I want to come more and talk about it. But it's really important for us to do the work to release ourselves from the lies. It's all lies. Yes, I was trying to watch that You People, that show. It's that on Netflix. It's all lies. Like, all of the narratives are lies. The stories we've been told about Egypt being a place that had slavery and put the Jews in slavery. That's a lie. There was never any not white Jewish people. There were no European Jewish people enslaved in Egypt. But those stories are held in our consciousness, and those lies keep us out of alignment. The story that Jesus Christ needs to be, those things are lies, and they take us away from ourselves. They take us out of the truth. This idea that you need, that women are less than men or not as equal, that's a lie. And when we believe it in any ways, like I remember when I believed, I caught myself, I was like, you believe that Eve came from a man's rib. You believe that. And I was like, oh, because that belief subconsciously would make me subject myself to men. Because as a child, I was told that women came from a man's rib. So as an adult, that belief was askew in my psyche and had my behavior feeling like, oh, I can't be great. I can't be greater than a man. If I am, I can't be myself. I can't be myself because I need to play small. I need to humble myself. For men, I need to make them feel like I'm less than them, because then that takes me away from my divinity, right? So you got to really look at your beliefs. You got to go through them like a needle in a haystack. what do I believe? What am I doing? I used to believe that people who had light skin were more powerful and more beautiful. So then if I was around people who were light skinned, I would feel bad inside of myself. And then that would send out a frequency of self-loathing. And then I couldn't access my own power. You got to really get clear about what you believe. What have these lies seeded inside of you? I know many of us believe that we need money in order to access happiness and be our true selves. And so we forego our gifts and talents chasing the bag. We forego, I know as women, we think that we need a man with money, so we'll skip over somebody who sees us and loves us because money is the thing. But is that really accurate? You have to question your relationship to all of these external things. You have to ask deeper questions. What is my relationship to this stuff? The systems of marriage, the way that relationship, food, all of this stuff has to be questioned. And as you question it, new answers will reveal themselves to you, and you will transmute the energy. This is how you alchemize it. You will transmute the energies, and then the new reality will begin to build itself in your experience. One of the things I love about my work is that I get to talk to clients every day because I have a community whose lives are changing because they are following the cycles of the moon. So I was talking to a client the other day, and she was saying, I used to hate to go to work because I believed that they didn't see me, and I believed that the students didn't connect to me. And now every day I go to work, they coming to me asking me to support them and to lead meditations. And one of my students' fathers died, and they came and said to me, my father died, and asked for prayer. And one of my peers' mother is sick, and they came and asked me to pray. Because when we begin to do the work and embody the truth of who we really are, we begin to send out a new energetic signal. And then that new energetic signal, other people feel it through the subconscious. So we have to stay in constant practice. You have to be consistent. This is not something that you can just snap your finger. It is a consistent practice that must be done on a day-to-day basis to awaken yourself, to remember who you are. And when you do it, because it's invisible, the whole electromagnetic field will begin to materialize a new reality around you. You will feel it. You will begin to sense it. And your whole life will become different, slowly but surely. But it is not a quick fix. But it doesn't take longer than 2.5 years. And here's the thing, 2.5 years is going to go by, and you're either going to be in the same place or you're going to be in a different place. The work, you cannot skip the work. It does not go away. You have to devote yourself to it. You don't have to devote yourself to the practices that I'm doing, but you have to devote yourself to some practice consistently every day. Can't woke it, gotta work it. That's right. You have to do the work. And Lindsay has been in work with me, and so she knows. And you must do the work. And when you do the work, God, I'm telling y'all, the evidence is so profound how it works out. You will begin to experience why 2.5 years. Because a progressed moon cycle, it takes us 2.5 years to really create a new energetic inside of ourselves. It takes 2.5 years because the moon stays in each sign for 2.5 days. So the moon moves really fast, and the moon is your inner world. But the progressed moon, your progressed moon, stays in a sign for 2.5 years. So when you have 2.5 years of moon cycle, so that literally means 2.5 years. So the moon cycle, so 13 moon cycles is 1 year. And then 2 years is 26 moon cycles. And then half of that. So 26 moon cycles plus 6, or whatever that is, right? And so that is the time that it takes to really build a new structure within yourself. that you can then rely on, right? Because you have to do the shadow work. You have to remove the shadow, and you don't remove the shadow. You have to go into the shadow and transmute it. So what does that look like for me? So my greatest shadow has been that I have collapsed my power with the masculine because my father was abusive to my mother. So something in me was just afraid of men because I would watch my father beat the shit out of my mother. And I can laugh at that now because I've done the work and I understood that was their agreement. I'm not in judgment of it any longer. But because I witnessed it as a child and I'm so sensitive, it shattered my psyche. So I was afraid of men, plus all of the narratives around God and evil and you got to behave and you're a woman. So I just was afraid of my power because all of the narratives that had me think that being a woman with power was bad, right? So it took me 20 years, right? But that's because I was looking, I was like, how do I do this? But once I found something, I was like, oh, this is it. But I had to go into the shadow of that narrative, how that shadow would play out in my life. So I would attract men who were predatory. That's just it. I attracted men who were predatory because my father was predatory. So I had to begin to see that, like, oh, all of these men feel predatory to me. But then I had to realize the feminine creates the reality. So if I'm attracting predatory men, that's because I'm predatory. Because the feminine creates the reality. Because every single man that I was attracting in my life that was feeling predatory came out of a woman's yaya. They all come from a woman. So that means that all of these men were born to women who didn't know how to really use their power. So the way that they used it was through predatory things, feminine predatory things. What are those feminine predatory things? For me, it's just not being true to myself. So how would it look for me? Like if I would meet a man, I would start cooking and cleaning and seducing in these very subconscious ways to create the net to pull him in, right? To me, that's predatory. For somebody else, it's not. But for me, it's predatory. Because I don't want to be in relationship with a man that way. I was just doing what I was taught. I was just doing what I watched my mother do. My mother did that because her father told her that in order to have a man, you got to be this way. You got to do this. You got to do that. So my mother adopted those predators from her father. Her father understood what men needed and how women needed to behave in order to get a man. So all of these things I was doing were based in predatory things. So I had to look at my sexuality, my sexual practices, my beliefs, what I was attracted to, why I was attracted to. And then I had to start saying, okay, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to stop doing that. I'm going to shift this. I had to start alchemizing it while I was in it. I had to start seeing like, oh, I have an attraction here. So now my attraction is going to do this weird thing that will have me try and pull this man in. I had to shift all of that because it wasn't true to who I really am. I also had to discover, who am I really? What is my real relationship experience? So I went to my natal chart to figure that out. My natal chart, I have the North Node in Aries, which means that relationship is not my primary function this lifetime. My South Node is in Libra, which means relationship was my primary function in my last lifetime. So I'm here to unlearn those behaviors. So in my last lifetime, I was one of those seductive women who manipulated and got a man to do what he needed, what I wanted him to do, because I was manipulating him and getting him to, ladies, you can get a man addicted to something really easy if you just give it to him in the way that he wants to have it and keep giving it to him that way. And they can it's like a spider web. You just catch them in a spider web. So I was like, I don't want that this lifetime. That's not who I am. But I had to tell myself the truth. The shadow. I had to look at my shadow. Why am I doing these things that are geared towards this sort of way of being. Oh, that's what my mother taught me. That's what my grandmother did. That's what okay. Then I had to do the rituals, following the moon cycles to heal it, to transmute it. How do I free myself from thinking that I need a man to be safe in the world? Well, first I had to learn that the feminine is actually the protector, not the man. The man has physical might, but he doesn't have the psychic, spiritual might that actually will keep things away. So I had to understand, how does my feminine energy really work so that I'm not misusing it? How do I use it so that it is actually good for me and good for others? I had to learn and study and see it, and then do the work to realign it. Oh, this is out of order. Okay, put that over here. Oh, my visualization is out of order. There was a time from when I was 14 years old, I would spend, when puberty hit, I would spend hours just thinking about sex. If I had sex with a man, for years I would be for months, I couldn't think about anything else but him, because that was my conditioning. You have to understand, as Black women, we spent 250 years in slavery, being raped and sexualized and brutalized and taking our babies. And so our energy got trapped in our sexuality, in our creativity, and we couldn't use it because we didn't have autonomy over our bodies. So we are the first generation who has autonomy and who can actually begin to do the work to recode what generations of Black women have been through sexually in this country. And you have to do the work to take your power back. You have to see the patterns and how they're playing out in you, and if they're working for you, if they're working against your nature, and reprogram yourself and take your power back. The beautiful thing is that the astrology, everything in the astrology is connected to the body. So for instance, we're in the sun of Aquarius right now. Aquarius rules the ankles all the way up to the knees. Aquarius rules the cones of the eyes, because Aquarius is where you create the vision. Aquarius rules the joints, because the joints is where you pivot and where you can shift your reality. And that's what Aquarius is. So when we follow the sun, we not only reprogram the codes of our consciousness, we also reprogram the codes in our bodies. We reprogram our memory in the body. And guess what? We're carrying 7 generations of memory going backwards. So you could be having a desire for something, and it's not even really your desire. It's your great grandmama's desire. And she came over on a slave ship, possibly. You know what I'm saying? So it's important to understand that what's running us is historical things. That's why we don't want to celebrate Black history. We want to create a new Black narrative. Because if we're going back into the history, we're calling that history forward. We don't want to do that. The history is already here in our bodies and minds and consciousness right now. So we want to look at what's going on now and make new choices. Take on new codes, new ways of being. And the more we do that, we will opt out of this old stuff. You'll opt out of it. Just with intention, it'll just stop coming your way. You just won't have access to it anymore. So, with that, you guys, if you want to, you can join Follow the Sun. You can go to my profile link and follow the sun and join my community, where I do the work every day to assist us as melanated beings and others who want to get free, because the system is bad for everybody. It's not just bad for Black people. It's bad for white people. It's bad for brown. It's bad for everyone, because it is devoid of nature. It is devoid of nature. So if you want to learn how to do this, you want to participate, come join Follow the Sun. I'm teaching it on a daily basis. You can download Mighty Networks it's an app, and then join Follow the Sun. Send me a private message. I'm also booking readings. You guys can go to my website, MoniqueRuffin.com, and book readings. And I'm here to serve. I'm here to serve towards my freedom and the freedom of anyone else who deeply desires to be free, to experience freedom from within yourself, to create freedom, because it won't come to us. No one can give it to us. It will come from within us. And the more we are loyal to who we really are, who we're meant to be, The universe will show up like fucking gangbusters, y'all. The universe will show up like gangbusters. The magic that shows up is profound. All right, y'all. Peace and blessings. I love you so very much. I'm going to say a prayer. So the most important thing that I know right now is how important it is for us to forgive ourselves that we have forgotten. To forgive ourselves that we have forgotten who we are and begin to remember the truth of our essence, of our beingness, to remember that we are God. Heavenly Father, Mother God, the power of the divine that is here right now, present within each and every one of us. I trust and know that each one of us within the sound of my voice is activated in the power of the divine, in the power of the light codes that are swimming around this universe, the power of the sun, the power of the moon, the power of Mercury and Mars and Venus and Jupiter and Saturn and Uranus and Pluto and Neptune that activates the consciousness of God within us. I trust and know that each and every one of us can feel this energy in our bodies, from the bottoms of our toes to the top of our heads, that we are activated in this essence of light, doing the dance of life as gods and goddesses with consciousness and power and the creative energy that is everywhere present. I trust and know that every cell within our bodies is activated by the sound of my voice and the light codes of this energy of the Aquarius season, activating the Uranus power to be the God that is within you. I trust that we are trusting, that we are walking with faith, that we are releasing the old codes, the old patterns of slavery and oppression and fear and trepidation and terror, that we are willing to forgive ourselves for surrendering and submitting to the forgetfulness of this time. And that as we forgive ourselves, we are recoding light, recoding love, recoding joy, recoding power, recoding magic, recoding freedom, recoding abundance, recoding health and healing, recoding wisdom, recoding knowledge, recoding the power of the universe that is true to us and true to us alone, that no one else can access that which we can. And so we do so with grace and ease and joy, and we allow the universe and the light of the power of all that is to dance in us, and we allow ourselves to wake up and remember that we are God and Goddess. To remember that we are the force of the universe that said yes to all of this from the beginning of time, that there is nothing that has power over us, that we are ignited in the goodness of life and the goodness of God and the goodness of all that is, that we are free to be who we are meant to be, that we are born to eliminate all obstacles because we are the ones who said yes, the creators of all of this from beginning of time. And so for this, I know that we are free right now. For this, I know that we are open right now. And for this, I know that we are creating realities of more and more freedom. And it is so. And for this, I trust that it is done. I allow it to be. And so it is. Ashe. Whew. Allow that to move through your body. Breathe in the consciousness of the eternal that is within you. And walk this day as a god, goddess, because that is the truth of your essence, your beingness. And so it is. Ashe. All right, y'all. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. I love you. Peace and blessings.